Hello, I am standing here in the middle of the rainforest in Queensland, and I'm going to talk to you today about off-the-track horses, a couple of off-the-track horses that I've owned and love very much. Now, when I was out walking yesterday morning, a brown snake joined me rather viciously actually, and jumped at me and landed about 2 inches away from my foot, which was in a sandal at the time. So if I leap away and drop the phone, I apologize in advance. I'm having another wrangle with a brown snake, so hopefully that won't happen. Anyway, the first off-the-track horse I want to talk to you about was one that I was given by my father. I was lucky enough to go to boarding school at age 10. And my father bred some racehorses, some of which were quite good, and others of which weren't very fast at all. And I got one of the ones that wasn't very fast, which was just as well. And it was delivered to me at my school, which was most embarrassing because all the lovely local girls, got their horses delivered on open cattle trucks and stuff. Oh, not my horse. No. My horse happened to be delivered on an air-conditioned Tommy Smith racehorse truck, which was so embarrassing. You can imagine me at school going, oh my God, I wanted to die. Anyway, she was called Oh Jemima, and she was a dear thing. Of course, being young and stupid and so brave and so naive, I just jumped on her and off we went. We used to do things and go eventing and play polo cross and stuff. And the only time I ever really got into trouble, I don't know why that was the only time I ever really got into trouble, was playing polo cross with her. And when I had one horse on each side, I think she thought that was a race, and she used to go quite fast. Very impossible to get the ball, but a lot of fun. And I think it just goes to show how forgiving these off-the-track horses are. You put a 12-year-old on and it jumps on and goes off and does pony club. So the horses come straight from Tommy Smith stables in Sydney. And how amazing, what an incredible horse. And I remember when I sold her, I took her to the English sale yard in Sydney, in Newmarket, and I was just there. I was, I think, 15 by that stage, and that was where we sold horses, a tried stock sale. And so I was there in the morning getting her ready for the sale, and I didn't have my bridle or saddle or anything, so I just jumped on her in the stable and trotted off down to, in a head collar, and trotted off down to the washing bay to give her a wash and sort of thing. And somebody screamed at me and I got in a lot of trouble because I was riding without a bridle and saddle. And the horse is in the ring being sold, and the announcers, Mr. Inglis, said, "Oh, I saw this horse being ridden around this morning by its young owner without a bridle or saddle." And suddenly the price jumped up and we got a bit of money for her, which, my young age was rather nice. I think she went off to somebody else at Pony Club, which was wonderful. Anyway, much more recently, a couple of years ago, somebody rang me up and they said, I've got a horse here that I've got to get rid of, and it's called Pillar of Hercules. And they told me the brief story about this ex-racehorse. He was absolutely beautiful. And he was owned, he was owned, I think, by the mob originally. And he was looking like he might be quite a good horse. I think he sold for about $750,000 at the yearling sales. And then when they realized that as the mob, they couldn't actually race him, so they had to sell him again. And they sold him for $1.8 million, still as a stallion, I think as a 5-year-old. And he went off to be raced by somebody else. He never won a Group 1 race. Like, he was pretty hopeless, actually, given all the money they spent on him. And then he had a season as a stallion, but he couldn't compete against the big boys. So they gelded him, and then they tried to put him back into racing, and he broke down, needless to say. By this stage, he was 8 years old. And so when I finally got him, he'd actually spent a year or 2 years being a foal babysitter out in a big stud somewhere. And the person that had him was a bloodstock man, and he just loved the horse. He said he has the best conformation. He's such a beautiful horse, and I don't want to get rid of him, but because he was a stallion for 8 years, and he's hard to handle, and he's blah, 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 he's, difficult. So I bought him for $1, and as you do with a $1.8 million racehorse. and he was fantastic. And I have to say, when he got off the truck, he was quite difficult to handle. Quite so airs above the ground, let's say. And he still thought he was a stallion a year after gelding, but it didn't take him long to realize that life was different now. And he was lovely in that once I started involving him in the learning process, I mean, day one, I said, right, you know, let's do pressure release. And he goes, oh, wow. So you're not going to hang on to my head collar or my bridle or whatever it is all the time. I'm going to get a say in this. So I'm going to be quiet, or I'm going to relax, and you're going to release that. That is great. And he was fantastic, absolutely beautiful. So his name was Pillar of Hercules, which is pretty tough. We called him Cream Puff because when he arrived, he had no shoes on, and he'd come from beautiful pastured acres to my place, which was rock hard in Goulburn, which is very dry and very hard, and he couldn't walk, so he would limp everywhere. And there's actually a really good series of videos in the training which is all about barefoot trimming, and my friend David Lee does those videos, and he talks about how putting boots on a horse, fitting boots properly to a horse and barefoot trimming them can be really advantageous. And he did Cream Puff for us, and it was amazing because this horse went, and you'll see it in those videos, from not being able to walk, I mean looking really quite tragic, to trotting and cantering around in the sand on the round pen. It was fantastic to see. Anyway, he proved to be absolutely beautiful horse to own and to ride, and it was such a privilege to have him. And so that's where I want to leave it today. Thank you very much. And look, in the comments, write and tell me about your off-the-track horses, because they're so wonderful and they're so memorable, and I would love to hear about your experiences. So please do tell me. Also, don't forget to pick up the 100-day email series. It's proving really popular, and we're getting lots of good feedback and lots of people getting really involved with it, which is fantastic. And if you just go along to my website, along to the blog, you can pick it up on the right-hand side of the blog there. There's a form. It's called the 100-day email series, and so every day for the next 100 days you'll get an email from me and an invitation to come and join in the conversation and discuss things, and it's full of ideas and fun and chat and training tips and all that sort of stuff. And I do talk about both those horses in the series, so I really look forward to seeing you there, and I will see you next week. Bye.